Hey guys, it's Natalie and welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I'm going to be doing another book unhaul video. I know I just did one like I think 3 weeks ago and I got rid of like 40 books, and if you haven't seen that video I will link it down below if you're interested. But I was looking at my physical TBR like a couple days ago and I was like, wow, I have a lot of books on my physical TBR. But I was looking at some and I was like, wow, I'm really not interested in reading a lot of these. So I combed through and I think I got rid of like 30 books that we're going to talk about today. So yeah, I think I did a pretty good amount. Also, I went through my Goodreads like non-physical TBR, because you know on Goodreads you can just click want to read and then you'll have a want to read list. I had 800 books on that list, so I actually went through yesterday and I deleted about between 70 and 100 books off of that list, so I feel pretty proud of that. So in the spirit of spring cleaning, let's get straight into the video. Also, I apologize for the weird setup. As you guys know, my camera's broken. Also, I'm self-isolating, so I can't go to my parents' house to film where I normally film, so I'm filming here at my boyfriend's house on his iPhone. Also, he's playing video games over there, so we're just gonna ignore him. So let's get right into the video. So the first book I plan on unhauling is City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. This is the first book in the Mortal Instruments series and in the Shadowhunter universe. And I actually read this in March and I really enjoyed it actually. So I picked this up from my local used bookstore for only like $2, and I just bought this kind of like as a tester to see if I would want to continue on in the series, and I actually did really enjoy it. So I'm actually going to be buying my own hardcover copy, and I'm going to be giving this one to my younger sister because I think she would really enjoy this series. So I'm going to be giving her this copy, but yeah, I actually really enjoyed this more than I thought I would. So yeah, I'm only getting rid of this because I want to buy a hardcover edition, but yeah. So the next book I'm going to be unhauling, I actually also just read in March, and that is Queenie by Candace Carty Williams, and I actually wanted to read this in February for Black History Month, but I ended up not being able to finish it, so I carried it over into March, and I actually really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars, but it just has some triggers in here that was like very sensitive for me to read about that I wasn't aware of going into it, and it was really hard for me to get through it. So I just don't see myself reading this again because it was so hard for me to get through it. I really liked the story and I really liked the topics that Candace Carty Williams explores in this, and I really just thought it was really different from anything I've ever read. It was very thought-provoking and I just really liked it, but I just don't think I'm gonna read it again because, like I said, it's got some sensitive triggers. So yeah, unfortunately I will be getting rid of this one. So the next book I have is one that I have had on my shelf for a really long time, and I started reading it this month in March for Women's History Month, but I was just so bored with it, so I decided to DNF it, and now I'm gonna unhaul it because I just cannot see myself reading this, and that is In the Land of Invisible Women, A Female Doctor's Journey in the Saudi Kingdom by Kanta A. Ahmed. And this one is a memoir that follows a doctor who basically, I think she got her degree in Great Britain and she went back to Saudi Arabia, or she's going to Saudi Arabia for the first time to kind of like, you know, insert herself into the medical field over there. And she finds that even though she's Muslim, she doesn't really fit in over there, and so it's basically just her trying to like pave her way in Saudi Arabia and kind of like make herself known and well recognized, which is really difficult because, you know, women in Saudi Arabia don't have very many rights, especially as, you know, doctors and everything like that. So it's basically just about her paving her own path, and I just started reading this and I was just really like bored, and I just could not force myself to like read the words on the page. So unfortunately I will be getting rid of this one. Also, it's like 400 pages and I just really don't want to put in the time. So yeah, maybe in the future I will find the audiobook and download it, but for now I just really don't want to read this, so I will be unhauling it. So the next book is a book that I already read, and that is The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. I know I just hauled this like a couple videos ago, like a couple hauls ago actually, because I found it at the thrift store for a really good price and I wanted a hardcover. But I just found that, you know, thrillers aren't really my thing, and I feel like I'm kind of finding my niche as far as like my reading habits go, and I'm just starting to realize I really don't like thrillers that much. And I did enjoy this when I read it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, but I just don't see myself reading it again, and I just don't think that thrillers like are good to be read again, because you know there's like a mystery element, and once you already have that like solved and you know what happens, like I don't really see the point in reading it again. So I will be getting rid of this one. I know some people who would absolutely love this, so I'm just going to pass it on to someone else. But I think from now on, when I read a thriller that I really am interested in, I'm going to check it out from the library instead of buying my own copy. So yeah, I will be getting rid of this one. So the next book I'm going to be getting rid of is one that makes me very, very sad, and that is House of Salt and Sorrows by Erin A. Craig. This is a book that I originally checked out from my library and read, and I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 star rating, but I decided to put it on my Amazon wishlist for Christmas because I wanted to read it again. But the more I think about it, like, this book was really hard for me to get through when I first read it, and I tried listening to the audiobook, but the narrator sounded like Siri, so I just had such a hard time getting through this. It's very dry, but I wanted to read it again because I wanted to give it another chance, because this book has so much potential, but I feel like I love the premise, but it was just executed so poorly in my opinion, and I feel like this could have been so much more. So I did enjoy this book to a degree. Like I said, it was like 3.5 out of 5 stars for me. So it's kind of like middle of the road, but I am really sad to get rid of this because the cover is stunning, the premise is just fantastic, but I just didn't really like the way it was executed, so I will be getting rid of this one. I know my sister will definitely love this one. So the next book I'm getting rid of, I've been kind of like teeter-tottering between getting rid of and keeping, but I finally decided that I'm going to just get rid of it because I'm not going to force myself to read it. And that is The Way I Used to Be by Amber Smith, and if you guys watched my Books I DNF'd in 2019 video, you would see that this book was in that video. I've tried to read this book so many times, but you know, it has very sensitive material for me, like that's very like triggering for me personally, and I just don't like, I know this book has really great ratings, and I know so many people love this book, but for me, it's just a topic that's really difficult for me to read, so I'm not going to force myself to read it and, like, endure all these, like, really sad, depressing feelings, so I'm just going to be getting rid of this, and, finally not forcing myself to try to read it again. So yeah, I will be getting rid of this one. So the next book I'm going to be getting rid of is kind of a spicy, controversial book, and that is The Institute by Stephen King. So the book itself isn't controversial, but the author is controversial. So this was like the first Stephen King book that I ever purchased, and it's the only one I will ever purchase. I'm actually going to get rid of this because I really do not want to support Stephen King, because just like the things he says are very just straight up not good, and he like made a whole tweet about like how diversity in books isn't completely necessary, and just like a whole bunch of like other racist fun comments. So I decided, you know, I'm not going to support him as an author. There's so many other better authors out there who you can support, so I'm going to be getting rid of this. Plus, this is like a frickin' tome anyway. It's like 800 pages, so you know what? I'm just going to get rid of it. It's fine. So the next book I'm going to be getting rid of is The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris, and this one is a historical fiction. And like I mentioned previously in this video, I feel like I'm starting to kind of find my niche in books and like what I actually like to read, and historical fiction is not one of those things. And I think the only historical fiction that I've ever truly enjoyed is The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak, and since then I just have struggled with the genre. So I am going to be getting rid of this one. I also heard from some Own Voices reviews and just from like other reviews that this book isn't like very historically accurate at all. So I will be getting rid of this one, and I know so many people love this book, so I know somebody will definitely love this. That person just isn't going to be me. So the next book I'm going to be getting rid of is one that I impulse bought like a week ago. I actually got it from the dollar store, and that is You Know Me Well by Nina LaCour and David Levithan. And I bought this book because I was like, oh, I've read books by Nina LaCour and David Levithan. I'm just gonna get this book. And upon reading the synopsis, it kind of sounds like it's going to be an insta-love story. And also, this doesn't really have like the greatest rating on Goodreads, so I'm gonna be getting rid of it. I'm gonna be giving this to my younger sister, who is, you know, the target demographic for YA books, so I'm going to be giving this to her, and I know she'll probably enjoy it. So yeah, we're gonna be getting rid of these impulse buys today, so bye. So the next book I'm going to be unhauling is Diary of an Oxygen Thief by Anonymous, and this book I bought from my local used bookstore because I wanted to do a video where I read the lowest rated books on my TBR, and I just decided if I'm gonna do a video like that, they should at least be books that sound interesting to me, and this one says Holden Caulfield was an alcoholic and Lolita was a photographer's assistant, and somehow they met in Bright Lights Big City. So it's kind of like a weird love story, and I actually hated Catcher in the Rye that, features Holden Caulfield, so I don't know why I picked this book up. It was only a couple dollars, so it's not that big of a deal, but yeah, I will be getting rid of this one. So the next book I'm going to be unhauling is one that I bought for myself for Christmas, and I got it off Book Outlet for only a couple dollars, so it's not that big of a deal that I'm getting rid of it. And it is A Map for Wrecked Girls by Jessica Taylor. This one is a YA contemporary that follows a group of girls who get stranded on an island, so they get like shipwrecked or something like that, and I had heard really good things about this, and it was only a couple dollars, so I decided to pick it up. But like I've mentioned before in a couple of my other videos, I'm kind of starting to feel like I'm drifting away from YA books, and I know I do talk a lot about YA books on my channel because I do enjoy like a majority of the YA books that I read, but I do feel like I'm starting to kind of like wriggle out of the genre a little bit. So I will be giving this one to my younger sisters who, like I said, are in the YA demographic, so I feel like they would really, really enjoy these. But I just haven't felt any pull to pick this up since I got it in December, so I'm going to be getting rid of it. The next book I'm going to be getting rid of is another historical fiction, Are We Surprised? And that is The Time Traveler's Wife by Audrey Niffenegger. And this one is about, it's like a love story between a guy who can time travel, I believe, and then like a girl. And I don't know, I've heard really good things about this book, but it just sounds like really straight up not interesting to me, so I'm going to be getting rid of it. I feel like I know a lot of people who would really enjoy this book, so I'm going to be passing it on to someone else. And this book is also in like really good condition. I got it from the used bookstore, so yeah, I know someone else will enjoy this. It's just, not for me. The next book I'm going to be unhauling is, surprise, surprise, another historical fiction, and that is Orphan Train by Christina Baker Klein. I picked this one up on a whim from the thrift store a really long time ago, and it was in like really great condition, so I decided to pick it up. But I just haven't had any pull to read it, and I just know so many more people who would enjoy this. I think I'm actually going to give this one to my grandma because she tends to like historical fiction and things like that, so I'm going to be giving this to her. Up next we have a YA fantasy, and that is Flickering Mist by Mary G. Thompson. And this one is about people who I think can like become invisible or something like that, and there's like a caste system based on that or something. And this one, it just like, I have not reached for it. I've had it since December, and it's just like not calling my name, so I'm going to be giving this one to my younger sisters who both love fantasy so much, so I know they're going to love this one. But yeah, I'm going to be getting rid of this one. Up next is Strange Grace by Tessa Gratton. I bought this one for myself for Christmas. I got it from Book Outlet for only a couple dollars, and I just have not heard good things about this, like, at all. And I just read the synopsis, and it was like very vague and very uninteresting, so I'm going to be getting rid of this one. Despite how gorgeous the cover is, I don't think I'm ever going to read it. So up next is A Million Times Goodnight by Christina McBride, and this one is a YA contemporary about a girl who basically, I think she like takes her boyfriend's car without asking, so he ends up sending her nudes to like the entire school. And I think this book, like every chapter is a different version of a way the day could have played out, I think. And one thing I've found in my reading habits is that I really don't like books where like something happens over and over again. Like, for example, Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver, like every day is like the same, like a Groundhog Day kind of trope, I guess you could say. I don't really like books like that, so I think I'm just going to get rid of this one because I just found that I hate that trope. So I am going to be getting rid of this one. I'm going to be handing it off to my younger sisters, like I said, who are the target demographic. So yeah. The next book I have is a thriller, and that is The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn. This one I've heard really mixed things about. I feel like people either love this book or hate this book. But like I said, I've been finding that thrillers just really don't hold my attention, or like I guess what happens. And if I read any thrillers from now on, like I said, they will be from the library. I will not own them. This one I got from a library sale for only a couple of dollars, so I am going to be getting rid of this one. I know some people who would definitely love this one, so I'm going to be getting rid of it. The next one I have is another thriller, and that is Runaway by Harlan Coben. This one I purchased from my local used bookstore because I had heard Kayla over at Books and Lala talk about it, and she read it for some kind of challenge video, I believe, and she ended up really enjoying it. But personally, like I said, have not been connecting with thrillers, so I'm going to be getting rid of this one. Up next, surprise, surprise, another thriller, that is My Husband's Wife by Jane Corey. I got this a couple of haul videos ago, and I found it at my thrift store for only a couple dollars, and I had heard really good things about this on BookTube. But, like I said, thrillers ain't my thing, so I'm going to be getting rid of this one. So up next are two historical fictions, and the first one is Water for Elephants by Sarah Gruen, and I've actually heard really good things about this, and I've heard this one is kind of a modern classic in the book world, but personally I just have not gravitated towards it. But I really don't think I'm gonna read it, so I am going to be getting rid of it. It is really cool. Like, it does have some like photographs like throughout the book, and it kind of reminds me of Ransom Riggs books, but I just really don't think I'm ever gonna get to this one, unfortunately. So yeah, I will be getting rid of this. The next one I have is a fucking tome, and that is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This book is nearly 600 pages. It's fucking huge. But anyways, like I said, historical fiction is just really not my thing right now, and I just don't see myself dedicating time and space to reading this freaking giant book. So I am going to be getting rid of this. I feel like my grandma would really like this, and I know a lot of people who would love to have this book because The Nightingale is very, very popular in the booktube community, but I just don't see myself reading this, so I will be getting rid of it. So up next, I have a book that is kind of controversial, and that is The Help by Catherine Stockett. So this one is also considered a modern classic in the booktube community, but I've heard very problematic things about this book, and it perpetuates a stereotype about the roles that a black person can have in media, and I just have read some like really not great things about this book. So also it's like written by a white woman. Not to say that people can't write people of other races, but I feel like you should be able to do that properly without perpetuating so many stereotypes. So I will actually link a couple of reviews down below, or like, you know, evidence to what I just said, basically, about why this book is so problematic, but I just don't see myself reading it, and I don't think I should read it, so I'm going to be unhauling it. So this last stack of books are ones that I'm like really on the fence about, but I know I'm probably going to get rid of them, but I'm just like kind of like about it. And the first one is Your One and Only by Adrienne Finlay. This one is a sci-fi / romance book that I had received a little while ago, and that sounded really interesting, but I just have had it since December and I haven't reached for it, and I feel like that says a lot about how I'm going to feel about the book. And this one is basically about where humans have evolved to the point of like being perfect, and there's only like one human being left, and I believe that's our main character, and he ends up like falling in love with one of these like perfect humans or whatever, and it just sounds really interesting. But like I said, I just have not gravitated towards it, and it's been sitting on my shelf for a while, so I feel like I should give this to someone who's actually going to read it and enjoy it. So yeah, I'm very sad to give this one up, but you know what, it's time to spring clean, baby, and my shelves are bursting. So this next book that I'm going to be getting rid of was actually in my April TBR video, but I decided since then that I'm going to get rid of it, and that is Time Bomb by Joelle Charbonneau. This is a YA contemporary about a group of kids who are like kind of like Breakfast Club-esque, like a very ragtag group of teens who are all stuck together during a school bombing. And this one my boyfriend had actually picked for me to read because I let him pick like a good chunk of my April TBR, and he picked this from my YA backlist books. But this one I'm just not interested in it. Like, I don't want to get rid of this because I already downloaded the audiobook for this, so maybe I'll still listen to the audiobook, and if I really, really want it, I can, you know, take this back from my sister who I'm going to lend this to. So I don't know. This one I'm like very on the fence about. Should I get rid of it? Should I just lend it to my sister? Should I give it to my sister for good? I don't know. I already paid for the audiobook for this, so like I don't know what to do. But I'm just like not interested in this at all. So I'm just gonna get rid of it. Whatever. It's fine. So this next book is a very similar scenario, and that is The Nest by Cynthia D'Aprix Sweeney, and this one is an adult fiction novel that follows a family who are all pining for the family inheritance. So this is like a very drama-filled book about some adults who are basically acting like children and fighting over the family inheritance. So this sounded really interesting to me at first, and this has like a really stunning cover. Like it's gold embossed, and I love like the Tiffany green color, but it just like does not sound like it's going to be interesting for me. I just have not been having fun with like anything like thrilling related or like, you know, adult fiction related, so I'm just going to be getting rid of it. But I, of course, already have the audiobook downloaded, but I did get this audiobook for free because they were doing a thing on Audible where it was like buy two get one free or something, or like buy one get one free or something on audiobooks, and this one was in the like free options or whatever, and I already had it on my shelf, so I was like, okay, gonna download the audiobook. But I just this one's very conflicting. I still don't know if I want to get rid of it, but I'm like 90% sure I'm gonna get rid of it. But you know, like worst case scenario, I can just listen to the audiobook, and if I like it, you know, I can purchase it again in the future. I just don't know, you know, I just don't want to own it anymore, so it's going. The next book I have is one that I bought like a week ago at the dollar store on an impulse buy, and that is The Unlikelies by Carrie Firestone. And I picked this one up because Carrie Firestone is coming out with a book called Dress Coded in a couple of months, I believe, and it sounded really interesting to me, so I wanted to read some of her other books, so I decided to pick this one up. But like I said, I've been kind of like growing out of like the whole YA thing, so I feel like I need to stop buying so many YA books that only sound like half interesting to me. But the thing is, like, I want to keep this because it's so cute under the dust jacket. Like, do you see that? Like, that is so cute. And so, like, I want to keep it just because it's cute. But I know I shouldn't keep a book just because it's cute. So, I'm probably going to end up giving this to my younger sisters, who, like I said, are YA readers. So, worst case scenario, if I want to borrow it, I can borrow it. So, yeah, I'm going to be getting rid of this one. So the next book that I'm kind of like on the fence about, but probably getting rid of, is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And this is a book that I initially had tried reading, I believe, like in my senior year of high school, and I borrowed a copy from one of my friends, but I ended up not being able to finish it just because like it was like not that great for me. And I just feel like I should read this because this is like a classic, and I just know I should read it, but I just remember like not being captivated by it at all. But I also tried reading it at a time when I didn't really like reading anymore, and I kind of fell out of love with it, so maybe if I read it now I would like it, so that's why I'm kind of like on the fence about it. But I don't know, I feel like maybe I should like give this to someone else who is actually gonna like read it and not keep it on their shelf for a million years. So even though this is like a very nice copy that's like very cute that I got from my local used bookstore, I'm just gonna give it to someone else who's gonna enjoy it more than me. So the next two books that I'm getting rid of, I was on the fence about because they are both signed. And so the first one I have is Today Will Be Different by Maria Semple, and this one is an adult fiction novel, I believe, and it's by the author of Where'd You Go, Bernadette, which is a book that has been on my TBR for a while, but I actually just took it off my TBR because, like I said, went through my Goodreads TBR, deleted a bunch of books. Where'd You Go, Bernadette was one of them. So this book, I believe, follows a woman who every day like has the same day over and over again until one day like everything is just like different. I don't know if this is because of like magical reasons or personal development reasons. I honestly have no idea. But I'm getting rid of this one because this has really, really bad reviews on Goodreads. Like, I think it's like a 3.21 rating on Goodreads, which is like straight up not good. I kept this one because it's really short, and I was like, oh, I can squeeze this into my TBRs at the end of every month or something, you know what I mean? But you know, I feel like I'm not going to read this, and like I said, the reviews are really not good, so I'm not going to read it. But yeah, this one is signed by Maria Semple, so I feel like maybe I could like sell this for a few bucks online. I don't really know. I just feel so bad getting rid of it because it's signed, but I'm just not going to read it. So the next book I have is a similar situation, and that is Future Home of the Living God by Louise Erdrich. And this one I bought because I heard Witty Novels talking about it, and she did like a reading vlog with this book. And this one is basically about like evolution, like going backwards, and so like it's like a dystopian basically. And so evolution, like I said, is going backwards, so like the kids are coming out like less strong, less smart, so like then they put like a kind of like ban on pregnancy almost, and like our main character I think is like pregnant, and she's like on the run from the government because they want to like take her baby or something like that. So this sounded like really interesting in theory, but I just feel like I'm not going to read this, and I don't even think that when Witty Novels read it, she even liked it that much. I just picked it up because the concept sounded interesting. I got this from my local used bookstore, and like I said, this one is also a signed copy, and so I feel kind of bad getting rid of it. But, you know, I feel like maybe I could sell this for a couple bucks or give it to someone else who might actually read it. So yeah, I will be getting rid of this one. So the last book I'm getting rid of is one that I'm very, very, very sad about, because this book has been on my TBRs since September of 2019, because I just keep telling myself I'm going to read it, and I just haven't. And that is The 10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Harrow. And I got this as my book of the month pick in September of last year, and like I said, it has been on my TBRs ever since, and I just have not read it or gravitated towards it, like, at all. So, yeah, I'm going to be getting rid of this one, unfortunately. Like, even though a lot of people have loved this book and enjoyed it, I got like 28 pages into it when I first started reading it, but then I was just so uninterested that I just put it down, and I have not read it since then. So yeah, like I said, historical fiction has just been not like great for me, so I am going to be getting rid of this one, even though the cover is so beautiful. But you know what, it's time to let it go. So I think that concludes my book haul video. Thank you guys so much for watching. It feels so good to like cleanse my bookshelves. So with my last book haul combined with this book haul, I have gotten rid of 70 books in the past month, which is just like mind-blowing to me. So yeah, you know, we're spring cleaning. So thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like, subscribe down below, and hit the notification bell if you don't want to miss a single upload. Thank you guys so much for bearing with me through like this weird like stage on my channel where I'm filming in weird locations, not on my normal camera because, you know, it's broken. So thank you guys so much for bearing with me. I know it's not like the best quality as it normally is, but anyways, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day. Bye!